Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the OTS Project, episode 8. Theo, my boy. What's
A
going
lot
on?
of high energy this morning, I see. Gotta wake
totally.
up for sure. Nothing much, same old, same old. I've finally hit the last season of My Hero Academia, and as I've been binge watching it, it has been just continuously getting me more and more hyped as each episode goes along. Great show. But
Nice.
other than that, I don't know. I've just been working out. I've been doing a lot of cooking. I've been cooking up a lot of like pork chops and steaks. Very, very tasty
man.
stuff.
He's
I'm
a meat man. He likes his
That's how I get
meats
my protein in.
in more ways than one.
Oh! Oh! Not even 2 minutes in.
Oh, man. Yeah, I haven't watched My Hero, but it's on my list. I have to get through Demon Slayer. That's what I've been working through slowly. My recommendation to you is Attack on Titan. I feel like I've told you this 1,000 times probably, but I definitely think you should hop on that for sure. It's my favorite anime. It's over Dragon Ball, over Yu-Gi-Oh. It's my favorite anime of all time. It's incredible. It's such a, I don't want to spoil it, but it reminded me, the main character reminded me of a lot of Anakin Skywalker. So it's like a very tragic but beautiful kind of story.
I'll see those edits you post of like
out.
him and Anakin and Kylo and stuff like that, all kind of being in the same vein.
Yeah, it's very similar. So yeah, I highly recommend you hop on that. It's very good. For me, nothing too big. I told you my foot's all messed up right now, so I'm living in hell the past couple days. Other than that, yeah, haven't really been doing too much. I've kind of been bedridden for the most part. Y'all should see me when I have to pee. It's hilarious because it takes me like 15 minutes to get across the house to get to the bathroom. Yeah, I've literally been doing almost nothing but just chilling in bed. My boy Jesse from the WNRN, he sent me some custom titles for my universe mode that I don't post anywhere. I just do it for myself. So I've been kind of working on that. I've been putting it in 2K24 just to make sure it's good for 25, but I'm not using them yet. Even though I don't post it anywhere, my head canon is like, no, I have to wait for the new version. So you know what I'm saying? When I do it in my head, because it's like a calendar year, I don't go like in my head. I don't go like, oh, each year is the thing. I just say like, oh, it's a season. And so there could be 5 years in one season or 2 years in one season, and when the new game comes out, that's my new season. So I'm like, no, I can't actually use them. I have to save my brand new championships for to debut in the new season. Nobody's watching this, nothing. It's just my creative hand cannon that I'm just all messed up. So yeah, I put them in. I did like a couple entrances and stuff, not in universe mode, just in exhibition, just to see how they look. They're looking good so far, but yeah, they're gonna debut for me and only me in my new season on March 7th. When the new game comes out. But yeah, other than that,
I got my costume. So I'm planning on going to the Ren Fair with my friends. This is like my first time going to a Ren Fair, and obviously I was like, I can't just go as me. I have to go with a costume, obviously. Right. And so a bunch of my things for my costume has come in. I'm going to be going as a frog wizard. Let me see if I can find the mask here. I can't see and barely breathe out of this mask.
Okay.
This is the mask.
Okay.
So it's gonna be this guy in a wizard robe walking around.
It almost looks more like more of like an iguana than a frog. From afar. Yeah. Like from afar it almost looks a little bit like an iguana. I think it's the way the front of the mask is pointed. I think that's what it is.
But yeah,
that's gonna be interesting. You definitely have to send I'm
gonna be posting photos everywhere.
This episode or next episode. Yeah, so follow him on X at OTS Bebop. You'll see photos of the wizard frog, brother. I feel like it has been kind of cold here, but I feel like even if it is a nice breezy day, somehow you're still gonna be sweating buckets in that thing, dude.
Probably, yeah. I mean,
I feel like that mask is gonna last you all of 15 minutes, and then it's gonna get thrown back in the car.
I will try my best for the people to keep it going for as long as I can.
There you go. No, that's cool though. That's fun. I've been to the Renaissance Festival a few times. The last time I went was actually last year. Me and our friend of the pod, Mr. Dave McKittrick, we went. I had a show that day, and he was my ride, but he had already made plans to go to the Ren Fair. So we basically went to the Ren Fair for like maybe 2 hours, and then we hopped back in the car and continued driving to Orlando. It wasn't too great. Just kind of just busy. We had some food. I had like jerk chicken, and it was like the worst jerk chicken I've ever had in my life. But as a kid, I went to the Red Fair a few times. I don't know. My mom and dad weren't like into it or anything. I think it was just something to get us out of the house. Yeah. I think so. I went a few times. As a kid, it's definitely like more fun. But also, it may be more fun for you because you may be more into it than I am now. But it's still fun overall. Like there's a bunch of shows and stuff. It'll be a good time for you, for sure. But yeah, before we get into our topic. Nothing much going on for me this week. Theo's headed to the Ren Fair. But we have a little bit of news. Starting off with 2K25. We've been keeping tabs on it. We did a whole month worth of kind of WWE Games content and some news and stuff like that. So to continue on, sorry, my foot is killing me. We got the official WWE 2K25 roster reveal. I'm not going to break down the whole roster here. We'll be here for an hour before we even get into the next piece of news. But I did do a video breaking down all the new additions on my channel, so if y'all are interested and want to see, what new people are being added and things like that, or just like our thoughts or really my thoughts on the situation, I did on the Kyle Bridger channel. I did do a video, just talking about the new additions to the roster. One that I'm super excited for, Mr. Javon Evans. I'm really excited for that. I've met him a few times. I don't want to say he's a friend because he's not really a friend, but like. An acquaintance, I guess, or maybe something like that. Right, friend of a friend, something like that, because he used to tag with my partner there, Elias AK-47 Roman. So yeah, I met him a few times, had dinner with him once or twice. He's a really good kid, really humble, really, really cool, but incredible in the ring. So I'm kind of always going to be supportive of him, because again, even though he's not necessarily my friend, I feel like he's my friend, and I feel like he's just a good kid. So in a world of people that are horrible, like a Moose or a Tester Blanchard or something like that, I want to support someone who clearly is really just loves this and is a good person, So I'm super excited to play as him. He's probably the first person I'm playing as once I get in there. You excited for this roster reveal? What was some things you thought?
Also very excited for Javon Evans. I mean, I've been keeping tabs on like all the stuff he's been doing, and obviously, as you said, incredible in-ring performance every single time.
Yeah.
I think for me. There's so many new like NXT women's editions that I think I'm just gonna have like a 6-man NXT women's match as my first match because I want to play as all of them.
Right, for sure. Yeah, I'm super excited. Jada Parker, Kalani Jordan, Sol Ruka, 3 to name right there. I'm super excited to play as well. I have another piece of news here, but I'm gonna save that for last. Spider-Man 4 postponed by a week. Theo, you literally looked over the notes and went, wait, they're making Spider-Man 4, and why do we care that it got postponed a week? I just put this in here because I just saw it last night and thought it was a little interesting. But yes, they are making a Spider-Man 4 with Tom Holland. It's supposed to come out, I believe, July next year. And yeah, I guess for whatever reason, I have no clue. I can't even speculate on why.
That week, they need that week. They need it.
Yeah. Whatever it is, obviously it's for a reason, you know what I'm saying? But I'm not sure why. But yeah, Spider-Man 4 did get postponed a week in July of next year. Either way, I think it's going to be fun. It's going to be exciting to see where we're at with the MCU Peter Parker, where nobody knows him. Obviously, he's going off to college, and maybe we'll meet Gwen Stacy or Miles Morales, hopefully, things like that. So I'm super excited for it. Not sure why they postponed it a week, but they did. In some more 2K news, we've gotten a little bit of like, every day we get little bits and pieces. I know in a couple days there's something on IGN, like the first 20 minutes of My Rise is going to be shown or something like that. So every day we're getting kind of more and more news. And as we do that, we're getting like interviews with the developers and stuff like that. So I did see that one of the devs, I think he may be like the creative head or something like that, he kind of gave an interview. And there's a lot more I could break down. I don't feel like breaking down. There's a lot of kind of negative stuff, to be honest with you. A lot of stuff that he said, oh, this isn't in the game, or this had to be changed for this. But one thing that was said by him is that there are going to be a lot more female legends in the DLC for 2K25. That's more big for maybe some other people. It's not too big for me. Depending on who it is. If it's a Victoria or a Mickey James, then yeah, I'll be excited. But if it's like Kelly, I'm not too. I loved Kelly as a kid, but like her moveset, it's very limited. I'm not too excited to utilize her. No offense to her, I still do love her, but yeah. So I know a lot of kind of female fans or Divas fans are super excited for that when he confirmed that. And our last piece of news, the biggest news coming out of the wrestling world from literally last night, The Rock showed up on SmackDown beforehand. Before he showed up on SmackDown, I saw so many memes. Like, they announced that at, like, the night before or whatever, and the whole day yesterday before SmackDown, I just saw so many memes about what The Rock was going to do and how he was going to disappoint people. He showed up. The big thing that everybody seriously kind of thought was that he was going to announce that WrestleMania will be in NOLA next year in New Orleans, and everybody was correct. He came out and said, WrestleMania returns in New Orleans next year. That's been rumored for a couple months now, so it's not too surprising. But then he called out Mr. Cody Rhodes in what was a very weird segment, to where my friend Nova texted me and just was kind of like, is he drunk? Because it was just really off-putting and weird. He likes to talk, man, because even they did the press conference afterwards, and that press conference went probably like 25 minutes longer than it needed to, because he just likes to talk. Like, he was just telling stories about his whole life and stuff like that. So the segment itself, yeah, it was just very long and very awkward, and he was just like kind of putting Cody over, but then not, but then saying like, you're the champion and I want it. And then Cody was like, oh, so you want the championship? And then he was like, your soul is mine, Shang Tsung style. It was just very weird. And then he kind of ended it with saying, I'll see you March 1st at the Elimination Chamber. So now we know that Rock will be in Toronto for the Elimination Chamber. So that's kind of cool. But yeah, I don't know, Theo, what'd you kind of think of this segment?
As you said, it was very odd. I thought he was definitely going to segue that into maybe his like announcement that he was going to show up in the new Mortal Kombat movie. I don't really know.
Right.
But I mean,
right.
WrestleMania announcements are always very important, and it being in New Orleans is obviously a very big part of where it's going to be next year. So,
yeah,
a few ups, mainly kind of some downs. I'd say definitely went on for a lot longer than I think he should have, but it was just kind of odd.
I kind of can see the vision. At least I think I can. You never know at this point, because Rock, he likes to go, I keep everyone guessing. You never know what I'm going to do. But in reality, it's just like, no, bro, you just keep kind of fucking up, and then you're trying to segue, and you just keep taking the hardest left turns you can ever take. So I'm not 100% sure, but I think the vision is obviously, yes, he wants, Cody to be his kind of talking piece, and his way of getting what he wants in WWE is by having the champion on his side. So I feel like, okay, obviously Cody's going to say no, because Cody's, he's the guy. He's Captain America at this point, So he's going to say no. So I feel like him saying no can set up, obviously, a match for him and Rock. I don't think Rock is going to be... maybe he'll be involved at WrestleMania this year, but he's not going to have a match. I think it's all kind of leading up to next year's WrestleMania, So I think Cody saying no can kind of set up a match for him and Rock maybe at next year's WrestleMania. But I can also see Roman kind of coming in and going, hey, man, I understand I lost the championship, but we're family. Why the hell wouldn't you come to me and say you want me to be your champion? Why wouldn't you want, what I'm saying? So maybe my theory, and people may not like it, is that maybe after WrestleMania, they set up for a match with Rock and Cody at SummerSlam, and then they could set up for the ultimate match that we've kind of been waiting for of him and Roman at WrestleMania next year. That's what I would like. I know a lot of people would probably want to see Roman or Rock and Cody at WrestleMania, but I just feel like that'll make this year's SummerSlam really, really big if that's the main event, and you still get, you get two matches out of one really weird situation and weird segment. But yeah, so Rock is Shang Tsung, confirmed. That's basically the moral of the story. So, moving forward, that's all the news we got this week, or at least from what I've seen. Maybe I missed a few things. If I did, make sure to comment down below what we may have missed. But yeah, this week it's kind of a different one. We've done a lot of wrestling. We've done some Marvel. We haven't touched on Star Wars yet, and I think we're going to get to that soon. But one that popped up in my head last night when I was thinking of, okay, what can we do, was, you know what? And you know where this came from, Theo? This came from me making that TikTok. So
if you
so our topic
seen this TikTok,
is going to
be see it. It's one of his best TikToks for sure.
So our topic this week is going to be our top 5 shows from childhood that could span Disney, Nickelodeon, Cartoon Network, Jetix, Fox Kids, PBS Kids, anything, any show from childhood. But yeah, I basically, Theo sent me this thing on Instagram. It was like a meme of Spencer Shea from iCarly getting thrown into a table with What the hell was the song? I'm already
I've been
forgetting what the
looking
song is.
around, I've been looking down.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
all
from
I
One
see.
Republic or whatever
Yeah,
it
whatever
is.
that song is.
So I instantly was like, wait, that gives me an idea. And I took, if anybody knows, Sinjin from Victorious. I kind of forgot about him. But we were a couple months ago, we were watching this episode. It's in like the iCarly
Yeah, it's the
crossover,
iCarly
right?
Victorious crossover.
Yes. And Sinjin is on this like surfing game, and he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna beat the high score," and then it just goes to malfunction, and he gets flung out of a goddamn window into a hot tub.
Second story window into a hot tub.
Yes. So I instantly took that idea that he sent me and utilized that clip and turned it into that. So go check out my TikTok OTS Bridger, I believe, if you want to see that. It's blown up. It's got like in 10 hours or whatever, it's got like 700 likes.
You made
like
that
so
far quicker than I thought
right.
you would have too. Like you were like,
Yeah,
give me a
it
minute,
was
and it was like
pretty
10 minutes later, and you sent that to me. I was like, okay.
Yeah. But yeah, so go check that out. Go leave a like on it, repost it. Let's keep it growing so I go viral and I make all the monies. But yeah, so our top 5 shows from childhood. Theo, if you want to start us off here while I get my list up.
Okay. I'm going to start off with one of my favorite Nickelodeon shows, something that we were watching when we had that nostalgia day, iCarly.
Okay, there you go.
Nickelodeon, I think, has a lot more like banger cartoons, but I feel like in terms of live action shows, they also it's like very 50-50 on whether the banger's cartoon or live action, because there's also like Drake and Josh, there's Victorious, stuff like that.
Right.
But iCarly was the one that I kind of grew up on like the most and like kept going with the entire time. And I think that was probably like, one of the first shows that I watched that like had like an element of like drama consistently in it, because there's like the whole relationship with like Freddie and Sam and Freddie and Carly and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But also like a lot of good humor came out of that as well, like the spaghetti tacos, or what was the one guy's? I think his name was like T-Bone or something like that, and he would always just be walking around with random foods on sticks. He would have like a whole like 2-foot long stick of tacos on it, and Carly would just be like, "How do you have tacos on a stick?" And he's just like, "I just put them on there."
Yeah. iCarly's not on my list, but I feel like there's so many honorable mentions, you know? Like, top 5 is hard. If it was top 10 or top 20, it would be kind of easier. But iCarly,
my top 3 was easy,
mentions.
and then 4 and 5, I was like, hold on, there's like 20 different shows I could put here, so definitely a good number of honorable mentions. But
yeah, we have a ton that we will definitely miss out on. But yeah, I loved iCarly. I thought it was great. When you brought up that thing of the drama between the relationship stuff, I remember being so excited when that episode came out where Carly and Freddie kissed for the first time, like when he was sick in bed and they kissed. I thought about that for a week. I couldn't wait to see the next episode.
That was the moment that defined a lot of people's childhoods right there through television.
Right. And then like how many years later they brought the show back and it literally ended with them getting married or something like that. So that's pretty cool. So yeah, that's not in my top 5, but for sure honorable mention. My top 5 is the best of both worlds, Hannah Montana. I'm not gonna lie, this one isn't like a real favorite of mine too much. It's more the fact that it was just so consistently on. We've always kind of talked about how like Theo was kind of a Cartoon Network / Nickelodeon kid. You weren't as much a Disney Channel kid. Rachel, kind of your sister would say she's kind of like a Nickelodeon kid, more in a little Disney Channel. Me and my sister were full Disney Channel. That was our favorite one. It was like Disney Channel, then Nickelodeon, then Cartoon Network. I only went on Cartoon Network to watch like Clone Wars or maybe something on Adult Swim. I wasn't on Cartoon Network that much. That's where I watched most of Dragon Ball though. But so yeah, that was just on so much because we constantly were on Disney Channel. Like whenever we turned the TV on, we went to 43 to watch Disney Channel first, and then it was one of those like, oh, Phineas and Ferb is on, we don't care to watch it. Okay, go to Nickelodeon. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, Hannah Montana is in my number 5. Not like one of my like, oh my god, I love this show so much, even though I do. It's just more so it was just like really the staple show of our childhood, kind of because of the fact that it was like just so popular and so like so big. So yeah, that's my number 5. Hannah
Montana definitely had like a whole chokehold over the entirety of Disney Channel for a good few years there. You and me, even one of my coworkers and me will like have this like almost inside joke of just the transition sounds between scenes in the Hannah Montana show. It's super fun. But yeah, that's a great pick for sure. My number 4 is, I would honestly say, easily say, honestly, the king of Nickelodeon shows, SpongeBob SquarePants.
Okay.
Thousands of references have been made through my life from the show with a good number of friends, a number of banger episodes. The one episode that I always kind of like attach myself to more than any of them is the one where like Squidward is trying to start up a band and they perform at like the halftime for the Super Bowl or some random football game or something like that. And
something like that, yeah.
William like has a heart attack at the very end of the episode, and Squidward's just celebrating. But I mean, there were a lot of good, funny moments in that show. A lot of great upbringing. Definitely one of the more staple shows of my childhood, and I think of a lot of people's childhoods too. I mean, that's still one of the most talked about cartoon shows, I'd say, to this day.
Right. Yeah, SpongeBob didn't make my list, but that's another one where like it's not necessarily like one of my favorites, but I can't deny that it was a staple of our childhood. It was like, yeah, the number one cartoon. It was like the number one cartoon on Disney Channel was Phineas and Ferb. Number one cartoon on Nickelodeon was SpongeBob, but SpongeBob had such a longer lifespan, you know, and it's still going. Yeah, for sure, right? Going. They still have new episodes, I believe. So the fact that it's over 20 years old at this point, it's like my age. It's like 26 years old or something like that. And it still has new episodes coming out like every week or whatever is incredible. So yeah, it's a good pick. My number 4 is a cartoon, but it is not SpongeBob SquarePants. It is not Phineas and Ferb. And if you don't have it on your list, Theo, I think you're gonna have a mental breakdown. My number 4 is the original Teen Titans from Cartoon Network.
See, that's an honorable mention. I wanted to put it on there. I'll get into it. I'll get into it after you get into it.
There you go. I'm not gonna lie, I don't remember like too many of the storylines of this show, but obviously I do remember just watching the hell out of it as a kid. I watched that again, even though I wasn't on Cartoon Network that much. If I scrolled to Cartoon Network and saw Teen Titans was on, I stopped and I watched. I just loved the design of them. I loved all the personalities of the character. I legitimately have so many, like, what is it, like when you're at school and you have recess? I have so many memories of instantly just playing Teen Titans, and I was always Robin with whoever the hell I was playing with, whatever kids wanted to play. I was always Robin. He was my favorite. I had such a crush on Starfire. I thought she was adorable, and I still think she's adorable. I think she's great. I still go back to, I saw it on TikTok, and I have it saved, because I just think it's adorable from all of them, where they all put on Robin's costume when he's gone. And then he just shows up, and they all think they're in trouble, and he's just like, I feel powerful, too, when I put on the suit. And I'm like, it's just such a good show. It's such, like, good moments like that, even though I don't remember too much of the storylines and stuff. So yeah, Teen Titans, the OG Teen Titans is my number 4.
I was very close to putting it on my number 5, but I just felt I had a little more connection to iCarly than Teen Titans, because it's not that I don't love Teen Titans. If this was like top 5 like kids shows, like not shows from our childhood that we grew up watching, if this was just like top 5 kids shows, it's on there for sure. Because you don't remember much of the storylines, but let me tell you, those storylines hit every single time. Yeah. Slade is probably one of the best kids show villains I think I've ever seen. But the problem with...
Yeah, I think I did see a clip where he had Robin just crashing the F out because
Robin had like schizophrenia for an episode like because he just kept seeing Slade.
Yeah.
But it was so good.
It
was so good. I would have put it on my list, but I just I don't remember much of it from my childhood. A lot of my experience with it, it was from like rewatching it recently, like maybe like in the past few years or something like that. But it's an incredible show.
Yeah, I remember too. I had a Robin and a Cyborg action figure, I believe. Like I was fully into it. I hate that I don't remember like too much of the actual show because I was such a big fan.
You should
Like,
rewatch it.
I absolutely loved it.
It is super good.
Yeah, I definitely need to. What was it? Oh, in general though, my list when I did kind of concoct it, I wanted to include like something from Cartoon Network in there, so that's why like I threw that in there. Like I didn't want to. I could like literally make a top 5 list and it's just all Disney Channel shows. You know what I'm saying? So I was like, let me try and mix it up and throw in a little bit of everything in here. So that's why that made it in there.
My number 3, I would also kind of hope this is on your list, but I mean, if it's not something you grew up with, then it really can't be helped. But I'm pretty sure you did. Star Wars: The Clone Wars on Cartoon Network. some of the best moments in Star Wars history are in this show, and to the people that have not watched it, you are doing yourself a great disservice because it is incredible week after week. I remember it first coming out like with the movie and stuff like that, and a lot of people weren't really like jazzed about it. They didn't really like Ahsoka Tano all that much, but as seasons went on, it grew better and better and better. The action, the drama, all of it just kept improving. The animation kept improving to where we get stuff like I mean, this is more towards like my adulthood, I guess, but like season 7, all that stuff was incredible. But even still, like a lot of the stuff before that is super memorable. And like the battles, the characters, it just adds so much more to the whole like prequel era of Star Wars that you would really just be kind of missing out on if you didn't like see it or anything like that.
So, shocker is actually not on my list.
Wow, fake fan.
But it's because I'm not gonna lie, I didn't watch it as much as a kid. I'm not gonna lie. Like, my biggest connection to the Clone Wars as a kid was probably just like getting the toys, because that was like the only toys we kind of had for a while. But other than that, I would watch it every once in a while, but I wasn't watching it every week, to be honest with you. My bigger connection to Clone Wars is as an adult, because I didn't really watch the whole series until season 7 was coming out, and I kind of did like I've got like 3 months till season 7 drops, so let me try and watch everything, and I kind of perfectly lined it up to where I did watch everything, and then I kind of went straight into season 7. And maybe it's just kind of the recency or whatever. I think season 7 might be the best season, just because it's the closest to Revenge of the Sith for me, so I think that's probably why. But yeah, so it's not on my list, but I would say maybe an honorable mention, just because I have watched it as a kid and stuff, but it wasn't like the super crucial part of my childhood. The movies were more my crucial childhood thing, you know?
No, but I mean, I was watching it weekly and stuff like that. Darth Maul coming back is probably one of the biggest things to happen in that show, and he's one of my favorite characters, so I was just absolutely loving it the entire time. But yeah, that's definitely a good number 3 for me.
There you go. My number 3 is it's not a Disney Channel, Nickelodeon, or Cartoon Network. Well, it ended up on Nickelodeon, but not when I was a kid. It was on ABC and stuff like that. It is the Power Rangers. That is top tier for me. I have a legitimate whole group chat with 3 other friends called the Power Rangers Fan Club, where it started off where we just talked about Power Rangers, but it's gone off the rails now. But we still do, if we see something on Instagram or something like that, we will send it, and we still talk about Power Rangers. It honestly should be higher on my list, but as a kid, like, I feel like as a kid I had connections to the other 2 shows, maybe more. But yeah, to this day I still love Power Rangers. I'll go back and watch certain seasons. And when I say Power Rangers, I'm not even just talking about a singular season. Anything from kind of Mighty Morphin, but really like Zeo, which was like the team after that or whatever, even though it was the same people. Anything from there to like Mystic Force and SPD, which was around like 2006-ish. That's like my bread and butter. Anything after that, I don't really care about. But anything from that time frame, that's all I care about. That's all I love. It's so good. I know you weren't like this big Power Rangers fan as a kid, but goddamn, it is. I just love, like, there's certain seasons that have really intense storylines, which I love. Like In Space has probably the darkest storyline in all of Power Rangers, where they literally have to like kill Zordon in the end to save the world. It's like crazy. But I really love, like, I've always loved the suits. That's like my favorite part, is always the suits and the morph sequences. That's like my favorite part of any Power Rangers thing. Anytime I would see them because there would always be like a fight in each episode where they were fighting in their like civilian clothes, but then they would go into another fight and they'd be like, "Ready, guys? Ready!" And then they would like whip out the morphers, and little kid me would just start jumping up and down in excitement because it was just so good. So yeah, I could go on. We could do a whole episode just me ranting and raving about Power Rangers. So I'll save that for y'all. But Power Rangers is in my number 3.
That's a very fair one. I mean, I definitely know that you love Power Rangers. You bring it up a good number of times. I mean, I think any kid really can just get behind like the morphing scenes. I think they just did them very, very well. The suits are obviously super cool throughout all the shows and stuff like that. But yeah, that is not a shocker for me that's on your top 5. Honestly, I would have expected it to be a little bit higher.
Right.
Let's see. My number 2 is going to be... This one is fairly quintessential towards my childhood. It is going to be Adventure Time. Okay. There's a lot of good stuff and a lot of good quality in the show. This was the show that I know you brought it up earlier, where you would be like pretending to play on the playground as like Robin from Teen Titans, stuff like that. This was that show for me. Like I'd be on the playground like pretending I was like Finn and just going on adventures and stuff like that.
Okay.
But I think it was really one of those shows that as I grew up with it, it grew up with me, because it would like start to adopt like darker and more serious tones and stuff like that, and more like serious issues that people face as the series went on. Because and then like the first few seasons, it's like it's very whimsical, very colorful, very basic cartoony, I guess, very silly, goofy and stuff like that. But then it starts to adopt like more serious tones of like war and loss and like all sorts of stuff, to where it kind of like its darkness is on scale almost to the darkness that the Clone Wars kind of depicted as well. But I mean, it was a really good show to be growing up with. I enjoyed it a lot. I enjoy like a lot of the creators behind it. I like a lot of their other stuff as well. A lot of the cast has done incredible stuff with it. A lot of the characters are very memorable for me. It's just everything. I love everything about it. It's so good.
So I think this comes in. You're 2 years younger
I'm
than
2
me?
years younger.
Like your Gracie's age, right? Right. So I think this is where the 2-year age difference comes in, because I think I am a little bit older than you. And maybe that's why I didn't connect with Clone Wars as much as a kid, because I was maybe like you may have been more the demographic than me at that point. You know what I'm saying? But same thing, yeah, with Adventure Time, I really never watched it. Like I every once in a while, if I just switched to Cartoon Network, if it was on, I may check it out. But I have I know obviously Finn and Jake. The only other thing I know from that is like the making bacon pancakes segment. Other than that, I have no I have more recollection of regular show than I do of Adventure Time. You know what I'm saying? Like I really never watched it, so I don't have any connection to that. And I think the 2-year kind of age gap there is probably why. But I'm not going to discredit it. I know how big it is. Even as a kid, I still knew how big it was. I saw a lot of people enjoyed it. I think I was just kind of out. I was probably almost out of watching Disney at that point. Right. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah. So I don't have any attachment to it, but it makes sense for you. I've seen you kind of talk about it and stuff like that and whatnot. So it makes sense. My number 2 is not a shocker. I feel like my number 2 and my number 1, you're going to be like, oh, okay. All right, yeah, it makes sense. My number 2 is my Nickelodeon pick here. It's Drake and Josh. That show, I mean, I love iCarly. I love Victorious. I love Big Time Rush. But as a kid, I don't think any Nickelodeon show hit me and connected with me as much as Drake and Josh did. I think, what happened?
There's one show that I think you're kind of forgetting on. That was a Nickelodeon show that hit you quite hard. That may not be on the level of Drake and Josh, but you've brought me over to your house multiple times to watch the Amanda Show. I don't know how you...
Right. I do love the Amanda Show, but I don't know. I think I might love Drake and Josh a little bit more. But yeah, I still remember certain storylines. Again, I don't remember all of it, but I still remember certain storylines. When we did our Nostalgia Day a few months ago, we watched a few episodes or whatever. We watched the Really Big Shrimp saga or whatever the hell it was. I remember Drake and Josh Go Hollywood, where they were like locked in a warehouse. I remember him hitting Oprah.
Oh my god, classic moment.
Yes. Yeah, so I love that show so much as a kid. For my sister, for Grace, she would like iCarly is probably her favorite Nickelodeon show. When she when everything was going on with like Dad and whatnot after he had passed away, and she came down here. She was here for like a week, and I swear to God, that kid was just on the couch in the living room watching iCarly nonstop. And it almost made me low-key hate iCarly, because I myself, for those who know, I was in the hospital with COVID. When I came home, I was on the couch. I couldn't I didn't want to go upstairs in case, because I still had like oxygen tanks and stuff like that. So I didn't want to go upstairs in case something happened. So I stayed downstairs, and that kid would not stop watching iCarly, and I was so out of it that I legitimately almost was like, fuck iCarly. I never want to hear the name iCarly ever again. But luckily, I've moved past that. But for a second there, I was like, I swear, if Miranda Cosgrove was here, I may I'll never hit a woman. But at that point, I was so out of it that I was like, I may have to beat somebody up. I don't know. But yeah, Drake and Josh. That's probably my sister's pick is iCarly, but Drake and Josh for me. And I feel like they're pretty similar. Like that, you know, saying it's not too far off. Some of the same cast even. So. Yeah, I just love Drake and Josh. I thought it was such a good show.
not Spencer. What was his fucking name? Crazy Steve, bro. Oh my
Oh,
god.
Crazy Steve. Yep. Yep.
The amount of funny moments we got out of that character, it's endless.
Yes.
The one scene,
the enchilada segment is the best.
Where Josh is trying to calm him down by singing to him.
Yes. I have it saved on my TikTok. I still go and watch it every once in a while. It's so good.
So good. It's on the same level of like Black Widow and Hulk trying to calm him down.
Right. It's great. It's incredible.
My number one show from my childhood that I think has truly impacted me the most and turned me into more so than any other show who I am today. You actually already kind of brought it up a little bit, but it is Regular Show. And
there you go.
Opposite to the name, it was very irregular, and that was a consistent joke being made a lot throughout my childhood. But oh my god! First off, banger soundtrack through and through. The number of like hit '80s songs throughout this show. That show honestly put me onto '80s music, and it is still a train going to this day. But I mean, just the absurdity of the show is almost unparalleled, I'd say. There's like one scene that is like defines the show perfectly. It is like Mordecai and Rigby talking to their boss, and they're just going like, if that unicorn doesn't win this checkers match in under 5 minutes, the entire world will explode. And the boss is just going like, what? But oh my gosh, so many funny moments, so many good moments, so many good stories. I love that show so much. I can quote that show 1,000 times over. I can reference that show 1,000 times over. It also seems a little bit more niche nowadays. Like I don't feel like I hear a lot of people talking about it, which sucks because it's so good.
I see it a lot on my TikTok. It'll pop up like clips on my For You page. But yeah, other than that, I don't see people talk about the show.
I need more people to talk about this show because it is legendary.
I am shocked though. I didn't think that was your number one. To be honest with you.
It is a very big part of my childhood, and it has helped me become who I am today, more so than most other shows from my childhood, I'd say. Yeah, that's my number one.
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, I don't have again, similar to Adventure Time. I have more connection to Regular Show, but I still really don't have much connection. Again, I think I was kind of, I already didn't watch Cartoon Network that much, but I think even at that point too, I was kind of just out of the kids show kind of thing, or was headed out of it. So I really didn't watch it. I just saw every once in a while. But yeah, I mean, I am kind of shocked. I didn't think that was your number one. I don't feel like I ever really hear you talk about it that much. That's why.
It's close to my heart.
Okay.
No, yeah.
I'm not discrediting you. That's cool. But I get it. It was a big show, and every clip I have seen is hilarious. I like the one where what was his name, BMO, the Game Boy.
Oh, that's Adventure Time. Yeah.
Oh, is it? Oh, I thought that was a Regular Show. Okay, never mind. All right. So my number one, again, is not a shock, and I'm shocked it's not on your list somewhere. This was on as much. I mean, I don't want to say it was on because we didn't have the power to like turn it on, but anytime it was on, I should say, whether it was a rerun or a new episode, me and Grace were on the couch in the living room, ready to go. Each week, it is probably the one show I remember. I mean, there was a couple of shows like Hannah Montana where we did it, but this show for sure was the number one show where we were there every Friday night at like 8 p.m. ready to go to watch the new episode, and it's Wizards of Waverly Place.
Yeah.
That is my number one. Top tier. I think it's just incredible. I think it rivals in general. I mean, you can debate it, but I think that rivals for just in general best kids show ever. I think it was so different. It wasn't all just like, you know what I'm saying? It was so different in the fact that I feel like Disney didn't really dive into like mythology and stuff like that. They always were like, oh, it's just these kids that go to school and here's some wacky thing about them or something like that. So the fact that this was like the first show, and I could be wrong, but I feel like this was the first show where they really were like, let's do some sort of kind of sci-fi-esque mythology, kind of mythical, magical show. And I think they nailed it. We love that show. I have so many good memories of that show. Grace had like the Alex Russo wand, I remember, which was cool, and it would like play music and stuff like that. Like I didn't have like Wizards of Waverly Place merch. I feel like they kind of oriented that more towards like girls then, but in general, like it was a phenomenon in our house was watching Wizards of Waverly Place. Like our parents would watch it with us. Like it was just top tier show. I remember like to add to this, there is a funny thing of like my dad we always would like joke about it. Where my dad like, he would always like for some reason would like stop what he's doing to watch a kid show. Like if Hannah Montana, like I have a memory. We were in this house, and I wasn't watching. You know, I was by the time we were in this house, I was like 11 or 12. Like I wasn't really watching stuff, but Grace obviously still was. And like a Hannah Montana Forever episode came on, and I remember coming out of my parents' room and just seeing him bent over like the couch, like his arms on the back of the couch, just like leaning over, just like eyes glued to the screen, mouth open, just like shock and awe of like, wow, this show is incredible.
He did that a good number of times.
Yeah, so we would always joke about how even our dad would like sit and watch these shows with us. So yeah, long story short, my number one is Wizards of Waverly Place, just because it's just so good. Like I love everything about it.
No,
so
that
and I've been watching. I watched the reboot, or at least the first bit of it, and it was pretty good. It's not the original, but I did enjoy like every episode I watched. I thought it was pretty good.
That was definitely an honorable mention for me too. It was very close to coming on there. I just felt like there were a few more shows that were a little bit more ahead for me, but definitely I think probably one of my favorite, if not just my favorite, Disney Channel show, especially during that time period. And you did bring up a really good point of how it was like one of the first like more mythical shows that they brought in, which is kind of surprising because like if you really look at like everything that Disney has done, that is kind of like their bread and butter almost. So it's very surprising to see that it took them that long to start doing something like that in terms of like a kids show format. But I mean, it was definitely very good. That was one of the other shows that we watched on our look back day. It was that whole like special with like the vampire and the werewolf and all of that.
Right.
But yeah, no, definitely a very good choice. Definitely an honorable mention for me. I know it's definitely your number one. You've definitely brought it up a good number of times, and just how your family has watched that throughout your entire childhood. But yeah, that's a very good show.
Yeah, it's top tier. So, yeah, I think that's our episode. That's our lists. That's our episode. Anything else you want to add real quick?
Not really, no. I mean, just follow us on our socials, you know, at OTS Bebop, at OTS Bridger.
Yes, sir. Shout out to WNRN for having us on here, being our podcast hosts as well. Yeah, with that said, I guess we'll see y'all in the next episode.
See ya.